Hi, welcome to the MOM series, The Misunderstanding of Multiplicity. This channel is about multiple personality, or what is interchangeably called Dissociative Identity Disorder, or DID, what was once called MPD. I have been vlogging out here for 4 years about the myths, the misconceptions, the concepts that people believe that are fed with disinformation and controversy and sensationalism, often from the media, sometimes from true accounts, self-reports, sometimes from psychiatry, that feed the stigma and keep the controversy swirling. So, I was diagnosed multiple in 1986, and that's what I was diagnosed, multiple, not MPD, MP. That's what it was called then. A team of doctors wrote MP. When it became problematic in my life, it was, the D was added on, multiple personality disorder. There have been many names for this condition that doctors have tried to describe it. Some have called it pure hysteria. Paul McHugh, Dr. Paul McHugh, who is a big disbeliever in multiple personality, has stuck by his thoughts that it is pure hysteria, and doctors that feed into the hysteria with suggestible hysterics. Okay. Other doctors that want to understand it call it a conversion disorder or somatoform disorder. Some have said it is the FAR scale of post-traumatic stress. And others have said it's MPD or DID, because it's on a continuum, and they really don't know. They really don't. And I'm just being honest, I don't think we'll ever really know. And I find it so exhausting, disheartening to see it constantly be swirling with so much controversy, and see so many different views of multiplicity that that people are attacking each other and taking sides, and so many different camps out here in a very diverse community with very subjective personal experiences that nobody can adjust, and nobody should try to adjust. So a couple months ago I came out here and made a video about Jeanette Barthas' blog. Title of her blog, I have to move this down so I can see it. It must be it's called, the title of her blog is at WordPress. I'll leave you the link. It's called Multiple Personalities Don't Exist, Examining Dissociative Identity Disorder and Other Mental Health Matters. Okay. The reason I came out here a couple months ago and said, please keep up with Jeanette Barthas' blog, is that there's a lot of other very helpful psych matters that she looks at. She also has a history of being diagnosed multiple. Back in 1986, the very same year I was diagnosed, the very same year a lot of people were diagnosed. And she was diagnosed by the actual doctor who was pioneer founder teaching multiple personality, and who fought hard in a working group of other scientists to get the MPD onto the DSM as a valid condition. Okay, so the doctor that diagnosed her actually was responsible for putting the MPD label, which was later changed in 1994 to DID, on the DSM. He was in that working group. He wrote books with his partners. He had a big hospital in Pennsylvania, and they're still out there, considered very renowned. Now, she was misdiagnosed, she claims. She claimed she was abused in the hospital and that he implanted false memories into her by way of just isolating her from everyone she loved and her family, and her being in the hospital for 7 years, which I've never really quite understood. But supposedly her life was going along okay, and she became depressed, and she was in her career, and she was in graduate school, and she had a family, and she went to a doctor because she had some things going on she couldn't understand, with headaches and depression. And she went to him, and some medication later, some more talking later, he told her she was multiple personality and that all these people had abused her. And then began body and memory recovery work. In doing all this digging and memory recovery, more sodium pentothal, more drugs, and often the reliving of all this and having to relive it to be told she would get better, 7 years. What Jeanette Barthas was to this doctor was probably a cash cow, which was happening a lot in that time period, because the thought was, it's going to get worse before it gets better, and if it's going to get worse before it's going to get better, you're going to need a lot of intensive therapy, so you better stick close to your therapist or your doctor. Unfortunately, she was isolated from everyone, and the staff her claim is the staff treated her inhumanely. They settled. She got her money. She's been mending her life back little by little, and has remained a staunch advocate against MPD, against DID, and against all of psychiatry. So a lot of people in the multiple community have just said, well, it's Jeanette Barthas again. She's one-way thinking. She tries to discredit DID. It's not important. We know different. Well, there are quite a few people that have had this experience of going to hospitals just within the past year or so, who have been misdiagnosed and who have won great lawsuits. Now, I just wanted to add that when doctors stopped diagnosing it, or kind of dismissing it, or dissuading it, or telling practitioners, hey, don't mention MPD or DID, or if your patient starts talking about abuse in the past or sexual abuse, get them into the now, don't start going back. This was really told to doctors back in the 90s when lawsuits started erupting, is don't go back, keep them in the forward. Don't do too much memory work, because they didn't want these lawsuits. False memory association was coming up to counteract a lot of false accusations they said, and I believe many people were falsely accused. And on every end of the spectrum there's injustices. Somebody could pick up a phone and say you did something to so-and-so, and there you're down the road, path to almost jail and your life over. So injustices happen every day. We can't discount that. For the people that have been wrongly accused, there are people within the multiple community or recovered memory or survivor community that some have been able to go back and say, wait, that wasn't my memory. My doctor told me that's what I said, or my doctor told me that's what happened, or whatever. They're getting awarded money, and they're getting their lawsuits are going through. There have been 3 women in the past year that went to doctors for eating disorders and depression, and 1 anxiety, and was diagnosed multiple personality and drug, and they're winning lawsuits. So to poo-poo this and say, oh, it's no big deal, what Jeanette writes about, it may be upsetting to read, but it's important. The DSM5 is up for public comment again. And the petition is out again, which the Justice and Reason Association puts out every now and again as a petition. If I can get it. Petition filed against dissociative identity disorder being included in the 5th edition of the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders. Now, in this petition, if you go to Jeanette's, and I hope you will, go to her blog, I'll leave a link there. It goes step by step why the petition is made. But if you look very, very closely, the person that she's quoting is saying it is valid, and the person can't get on board with the petition. But the petition is going out, and a lot of people are signing it. So it's important that you make your voice heard too. Quickly, I'm just going to say again that I think the main problem is that we all have different experiences, and if we can't respect each other's experiences as valid, as worthy, then we're not going to get very far. And I think there is a definite, pardon the pun, disconnect between psychiatry's understanding of some people that go through trauma and don't dissociate to other personalities, alters, people, personas, egos, whatever they choose to call them. The different doctors have different words for them. I call them people. I think they are connecting trauma to disconnect, which makes sense. When something horrible is going on, you want to get away from it. When something is frightening you, you distance yourself. That makes sense to go be safe. But then how does it develop to another person? And sometimes it doesn't. And so that's what they're wrestling with, is that disconnect. That why are some experiencing abuse and never having other persons, but dissociation in their life and post-traumatic stress, but they don't go on to this. And it's all a continuum. It's all a continuum, and it really has to do with what supports are available to the person in the situation, and how it was dealt with during and after, and that person's coping skills and their age too. So I think that matters more, and they're not looking at the way the child learns and copes, which is unique for each child, and what support and was there for the child afterwards, or the adult afterwards, and during. And I'm going to talk more about this, but I'm going to leave a link. I'm going to do a few videos today. I'm going to leave a link for Jeanette Barthas' blog, and some people are weighing in there and writing, and if you'd like to go there, it would be great. Thank you. Have a nice day, and I'll be back later. I want to talk about a few other things today. Thanks.